Chapter 1602. Buzz. A magical fluctuation was emitted from the pagoda above Lu Ming's head. Bubble made his move by encapsulating Lu Ming with the space-time domain. Lu Ming dodged the attack with a flicker. Meanwhile, the young man scanned the storage ring that Lu Ming had thrown at him with his spiritual sense and discovered that it was empty. He knew that he had been tricked by Lu Ming. Die now. A spot of light lit up in the palm of the noble young man. A combat sword flew out and slashed toward Lu Ming. That power was extremely terrifying. In the face of this sword, Lu Ming only had one thought, and that was that he was no match for it. This young man was definitely a half-martial sacred, a terrifying one at that. Whoosh! The black wings appeared and flashed rapidly. With a swoosh, Lu Ming dashed to the right, avoiding the sword gleam of the noble young man. You won't be able to escape. The young man's eyes were as cold as a saber. Lu Ming, a mere 7th-layer martial dominator, dared to trick him and kill the people of the Wan clan right in front of him. He had already sentenced Lu Ming to death in his heart. His figure seemed to have transformed into a godly weapon as he chased after Lu Ming. Buzz. At that instant, the pagoda above Lu Ming's head emitted a magical fluctuation as a space-time passage was formed. The space-time passage did not lead to the front, but to the back, where another young man in a purple robe was. Lu Ming stepped into the passage and appeared not far away from the other young man. Kill! Lu Ming yelled as the godly sword technique burst out and penetrated the young man's soul. The young man let out a cry of agony. Lu Ming took advantage of the opportunity and killed the young man in a purple robe with a punch. He then took the opportunity to rob the young man of his storage ring. Since they had become enemies, Lu Ming would not show any mercy. How bold! Seeing that Lu Ming had killed yet another purple-clad youth, the noble youth's rage soared to the heavens. His killing intent was incomparably strong. Suddenly, 8 light dots lit up on his body, and 8 weapons flew out from the 8 light dots. The terrifying battle weapon chi wreaked havoc in the air. Saint weapons, all of them were saint weapons. In addition to the battle sword in front, there were 9 weapons, all of which were saint weapons. When the battle weapon chi of the 9 holy weapons merged, their might was unimaginably terrifying. Lu Ming felt a chill run down his spine as he felt a fatal threat. Bubbles, let's go. Lu Ming's black wings flapped as he frantically retreated. Next, Bubble took action and a space-time tunnel was formed. Lu Ming rushed in. Stay here and kill. The noble young man roared. His battle sword slashed out, creating a terrifying fluctuation in the void. Boom! The terrifying sword light slashed at the space-time tunnel, destroying space-time and destroying everything. The space-time tunnel trembled violently before collapsing. Lu Ming was only halfway through when he was blasted out of the space-time tunnel. What terrifying combat strength! Even the space-time tunnel can be destroyed. Let's go. Lu Ming executed the wind origin technique. Energy continuously poured into the air-frozen pearl. His black wings flapped wildly as Lu Ming turned into a streak of light and flew forward rapidly. Clang! Behind him, the saint weapon vibrated. The noble young man turned into a streak of sword light and chased after Lu Ming. His speed was shockingly fast, surpassing Lu Ming's speed. He was rapidly closing the distance between the two. What shocking speed! Then let me take you to a place. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He slowly changed his direction and flew toward a large mountain. The noble young man chased after him relentlessly. In the blink of an eye, they had crossed a long distance. The distance between Lu Ming and the noble young man was getting closer and closer. You will die today. The noble young man's cold voice came from behind. You sound very confident. But how did I kill your 2 subordinates? Lu Ming's mocking voice made the noble young man's killing intent even stronger. Roar! Roar! A terrifying roar came from ahead. Demonic chi soared into the sky. Here we are. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. When he was hunting demonic creatures, he passed by here and found that there were terrifying demonic creatures gathered. He saw a few at random and found that they were all at the half-step saint level. So, he bypassed them. Now, he could make use of these demonic creatures to stop the noble young man. Whoosh! Lu Ming flew toward the place where the roar came from. In the next moment, a huge valley appeared in front of Lu Ming. In the valley, there were terrifying demonic creatures wandering around. They roared from time to time. Their power was shocking, and there was a faint saint aura in the air. At a glance, there were at least a dozen demonic creatures. They were all at the half-step saint level. Lu Ming rushed into the valley without hesitation. Roar, roar, roar. Suddenly, these demonic creatures went berserk. Demonic chi billowed, and they roared like thunder. They charged toward Lu Ming. Bam! A demonic creature that looked like a giant wolf slapped Lu Ming with its paw. Lu Ming's body shattered like glass. It was a shadow. Lu Ming's body had appeared on the other side. Bubble wrapped Lu Ming in the space-time domain. Lu Ming's body flashed rapidly as if he was shuttling through space-time. He avoided the attacks of these half-step, saint demonic creatures and went deeper into the valley. Do you think you can stop me with these demonic creatures? Ridiculous. Kill. The noble young man's cold voice sounded. He also rushed into the valley. 9 saint weapons circled around his body, and a terrifying battle weapon chi gathered. A sword light slashed out, and a half-saint demonic beast's body was shattered, and it turned into a cloud of rolling devil chi. Then, the noble young man punched with his other hand. The noble young man's fist seemed to have turned into a divine weapon. There was nothing it couldn't break. Boom. A half-step saint demonic creature was blown away by a punch. He reached out and grabbed a piece of demon fiend crystal. How powerful! Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The noble young man's strength was beyond his imagination. Although they were all half-step saints, those demonic creatures were no match for the noble young man. They were all killed in one move. The noble young man's every move contained the power of the law. Obviously, the noble young man had comprehended the law. There were strong and weak half-step saints. According to the realm, the half-step saint was mainly divided into 3 stages. The first stage was to comprehend the ultimate domain, which was also a half-step saint. Above the 9th domain was the ultimate domain. As long as one comprehended the ultimate domain, one would be a half-step saint. The second stage was to comprehend the power of the law. After comprehending the law, one would be much more powerful than a first-stage saint. As for the third stage, it was the ultimate domain. At this stage, one was really only half a step away from the saint realm. As long as one could condense a saint heart and convert vital essence into saint power, one would enter the saint realm. With the ultimate domain, the spiritual body's power would reach a terrifying level, far surpassing the second stage. The noble young man should be in the second stage half-step saint. Bam, bam. One by one, the half-step saint demonic creatures were blown apart by the noble young man. They turned into demonic chi and then condensed again. Chapter 1603. Roar, roar. At this moment, terrifying roars came from the depths of the valley. The earth shook as more than 20 demonic creatures rushed out. They were all half-saints, and some of them were equivalent to the second stage of half-saints. But no matter if it was the first or second stage of half-saints, they were all killed in one move by the noble youth. This person's combat strength was too strong. It had reached a terrifying level. With the help of Bubble, Lu Ming avoided the attacks of the demonic creatures and went deeper into the valley. Roar. An earth-shattering roar came out, and a demonic aura soared into the sky. Bang, bang. Heavy footsteps could be heard as a huge creature walked out of the valley. It was a demonic bear. It was 100 meters tall, like a small mountain. Every step it took made the ground rumble. Roar. The demonic bear roared, and the wind howled. Terrifying Saint aura spread out. Saint Realm. This demonic bear was a genuine Saint Realm existence. The demonic bear slapped at Lu Ming. Not good. Lu Ming frantically retreated to the side of the valley. At the same time, a sacred weapon shield was placed in front of him. The black feather wings protected his body, and Bubble's space-time domain was added to Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming seemed to have traveled through time and space as he retreated. Boom. As the demonic bear's palm slammed down, the Bubble's space-time domain kept crumbling. In the end, it slammed into the sacred weapon shield. Then, the sacred weapon shield slammed into the black wings. Lu Ming felt like he had been hit by a mountain. His body was like a cannonball, and he crashed into the wall of the valley. With a boom, he hit the wall, and debris flew everywhere. Puff! Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face was pale. The existence of the Saint Realm was too terrifying. Lu Ming was too far away from it. Even with Bubble's help, he couldn't avoid it. The space-time domain collapsed. However, the space-time domain blocked a large part of the demonic bear's power. Then, with the Saint Weapon Shield and Black Wings, Lu Ming wasn't seriously injured. Is this the power of the Saint Realm? As the #1 genius of the Zhangzhou state, how powerful would the divine child be when he breaks through to the Saint Realm? A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind as he felt an immense pressure. He didn't have much time left. There was less than a year and a half left until the next treasure pedestal meeting. He had to make breakthroughs as fast as possible during this period of time. Roar! After the demonic bear sent Lu Ming flying with a slap, it was as if it had swatted away a fly. After that, it no longer paid any attention to Lu Ming and charged towards the noble youth. In its eyes, the noble young man was the bigger threat. The demonic bear stomped on the ground and swept its mountain-like paw towards the noble youth. So what if you're in the Saint Realm? Fight! The noble young man roared. His battle intent soared as his hair danced in the wind. His battle prowess was pushed to the limit. The aura of the 9 saint weapons gathered on the battle sword in his hand. He slashed out a resplendent sword light. Boom! The sword light and the demonic bear's paw clashed together, causing a terrifying boom. Horrifying energy overflowed and sent several half-saint demonic beasts flying, causing them to explode in the air. It was truly shocking. Just the aftermath alone was enough to scatter half-saint demonic beasts. Bang! 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 After the boom, the noble young man's body trembled. He stepped into the void and retreated 8 or 9 steps. The demonic bear's towering body was as still as a mountain. After all, the noble young man was no match for the Saint Realm demonic beasts. It was too difficult for a non-saint to fight a saint. The gap was too big. Roar! The demonic bear roared and continued to step forward, slapping at the noble young man. The noble young man's aura grew stronger and stronger. 3 more light spots lit up in his body and 3 more saint weapons flew out. A total of 12 saint weapons floated around him. The aura of the saint weapons was extremely powerful. Suddenly, a shadow appeared in the void above the noble young man's head. Countless weapons danced in the air within the shadow. It was a mysterious sight to behold. This is the vision of heaven and earth. This person really has a heavenly spiritual body. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Legend had it that the heavenly spiritual body was a person who was blessed by the heavens. It was extremely terrifying. Once they exerted their strength to the extreme, a vision of heaven and earth would appear in the sky. No wonder the heavenly spiritual body was so powerful. A superior earthly spiritual body was considered a prodigy, but compared to a heavenly spiritual body, it was a far cry. A heavenly spiritual body was blessed by the heavens. As long as they didn't die, they would have a chance to become an emperor. It was absolutely terrifying. In the younger generation of the Tsang state, there was no one with a heavenly spiritual body. Even the #1 deity in the Tsang state only had a superior earthly spiritual body. This noble young man was a prodigy who was more talented than the deity. It was just that his cultivation wasn't as strong as his body. Kill! The noble young man shouted. Around him, 11 saint weapons whizzed out and charged at the demonic bear. As for himself, he held a battle sword and charged at the demonic bear. Boom! 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 After a few consecutive blows, the noble young man was still at a disadvantage, but he was able to withstand the demonic bear's attack. A non-saint had the ability to fight a saint-level expert. It showed how terrifying a heavenly spiritual body was. Roar! 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 At this time, more half-saint demonic creatures rushed out and wandered around, but they couldn't get close to the battle. A huge demonic tiger charged at Lu Ming. Let's fight! This time, Lu Ming didn't dodge. Instead, he charged at the demonic tiger. The demonic tiger opened its bloody mouth and tried to swallow Lu Ming. Its mouth was so huge that it could swallow a house. Lu Ming didn't dodge and rushed into the demonic tiger's mouth. The moment he rushed in, Lu Ming's body entered the mountain and river diagram. Only the mountain and river diagram appeared in the demonic tiger's mouth. The mountain and river diagram was a treasure refined by an emperor-level expert. Even if it was swallowed by the demonic tiger, it was fine. Lu Ming spread out his spiritual consciousness and paid attention to the battle outside. At this time, the noble young man had already exchanged more than 10 blows with the demonic bear. He was gradually losing and was completely at a disadvantage. He was swallowed by the demonic tiger. The noble young man naturally saw the scene of Lu Ming being swallowed by the demonic tiger. A sharp light flashed in his eyes. He didn't believe that Lu Ming would die so easily. He guessed that he was hiding in the demonic tiger's body to avoid the other demonic creatures. Indeed, when Lu Ming entered the demonic tiger's body, the other demonic creatures all turned their attention to the noble young man. They surrounded the noble young man and stared at him covetously. Don't think that I can't do anything to you just because you're hiding in a demonic creature's body. I'll kill you all the same. The noble young man's eyes were filled with killing intent. He was determined to kill Lu Ming. Go. He raised his hand, and among the 12 sacred weapons, a shield and a small mountain, rushed toward the demonic bear. His body flashed and rushed toward the demonic tiger that had swallowed Lu Ming. Chapter 1604. Roar. The demonic tiger roared and pounced at the noble youth. However, the noble youth slashed out with his sword and the demonic tiger's body collapsed, turning into a cloud of demonic chi. However, at this moment, the noble youth's pupils constricted. 2 figures appeared in the demonic chi. The 2 figures looked exactly the same. There were 2 Lu Ming. Of course, they were Lu Ming's overgod and second body. Suddenly, a transparent bubble appeared on the noble youth's body and enveloped him. Space-time domain? Break! The noble youth roared. His body glowed and a terrifying aura of a battle weapon rushed out. With a bang, the transparent bubble was shattered. However, at this moment, 8 sealed doors appeared around him. Each of them emitted a dazzling light and a terrifying sealing power. They were about to seal the noble youth. Previously, Lu Ming had been using the 9 seals of the God's Gate continuously. Unknowingly, the 9 seals of the God's Gate had broken through and could condense 8 sealed doors at once. Kill! At this moment, Lu Ming's main body roared. 2 terrifying sword rays shot out from his eyes and rushed into the noble youth's body, causing his body to tremble. Tai Chi. At this moment, Ming Lian's second body whispered. A Tai Chi disc floated above his head, and a huge Tai Chi pattern appeared, suppressing the noble youth. The Tai Chi disc contained a terrifying destructive and suppressive power. Break! 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 The noble youth roared. With a sword in one hand and a spear in the other, he attacked in all directions. Bang! Bang! The 8 sealed doors continued to crumble. At this moment, the Tai Chi pattern pressed down, causing the noble youth's body to tremble violently. The true yuan that covered his body trembled. His body stiffened in the air. Roar! At this moment, the demonic bear had already arrived. It swung its paw at the noble young man. The slap landed directly on the noble youth's body. The noble youth screamed as his body was sent flying. He crashed heavily into the side of the valley, creating a huge crater. Bang! However, in the next moment, the noble youth rushed out of the crater. However, at this moment, he was in an extremely sorry state. His clothes were tattered, revealing a golden armor underneath. His face was pale, and he couldn't help but spit out another mouthful of blood. Just now, he was struck by the power of the Taiji diagram and slapped by the demonic bear. In the end, he was still heavily injured. Brat, don't let me see you again. Otherwise, I'll make you wish you were dead. The noble young man let out an unwilling roar, then turned into a beam of light, shot into the sky, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The demonic bear did not give chase. This guy is really strong. Also, my soul force is still too weak. Lu Ming pondered. The series of attacks just now had failed to kill the noble young man. He used the divine sword art to attack the other party's soul. Although the other party was affected, he still retained a lot of strength, which was why he was able to escape. Otherwise, he would have been directly injured by the demonic bear's slap. Lu Ming's current soul power was equivalent to the first stage of a half-saint. For a half-saint who had comprehended the law, it didn't have much of an impact. Roar. At this moment, the demonic bear looked at Lu Ming with a tyrannical glint in its eyes. Buzz. At this moment, a buzzing sound came from behind Lu Ming, and the bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel appeared. The prison-suppressing steel specialized in suppressing evil spirits. Could it suppress these demonic creatures? Lu Ming decided to give it a try. The prison-suppressing steel expanded rapidly, emitting a dazzling light. Especially the word at the bottom, the light was even brighter. Roar. The demonic bear had a look of awe in its eyes. Then, it actually took off and rushed into the depths of the valley. The half-saint demonic creatures did the same. They all ran into the depths of the valley and disappeared. They really ran away? Lu Ming's face revealed a trace of a smile. The reason why he didn't summon the prison-suppressing steel before was that he was afraid of scaring away these demonic creatures. If that happened, who would help him block the noble young man? This valley has gathered so many powerful demonic creatures. There must be a secret. Let's go in and take a look. Lu Ming thought. Anyway, with the prison-suppressing steel to deter those demonic creatures, Lu Ming became bolder. Ming Lian's second body stepped out and disappeared between Lu Ming's eyebrows. It disappeared and went to cultivate in peace. Now that Ming Lian's second body was progressing very quickly, and he was getting closer and closer to igniting the ninth spirit lamp, he naturally had to seize the time to cultivate. The prison-suppressing steel floated above Lu Ming's head as he walked into the depths of the valley. The deeper he went, the larger and wider the valley became. So many bones. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes focused. He found that there were many bones in the valley ahead. These bones were of different shapes. Some were incomparably huge, like small hills, and some were very small. But each bone was as white as jade and emitted a fluorescent light. It could be seen that they were incomparably powerful existences when they were alive. Lu Ming restrained his aura and continued to move forward. In front of him, what came into view were bones of all kinds. In ancient times, there was a war of the 100 races. Could this be the burial ground of the 100 races? And those demonic creatures were mutated from these experts after they died? Lu Ming secretly guessed, because the spiritual essence on these bones had been severely drained. Some of the bones had completely turned into dust. Obviously, they had gone through a long period of time. Lu Ming saw a huge human skeleton. This skeleton was very strange. It was actually golden and the bones were 7 to 8 meters long. Could this be the legendary golden giant? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The giant clan was real, and the golden giant was the royal clan of the giants. It was extremely terrifying and was a natural warrior. Could this be the skeleton of a Qilin? In the next moment, Lu Ming saw a skeleton that looked very much like the legendary Qilin. Unfortunately, the spiritual essence on these bones had almost been drained, and they were no longer valuable. If the spiritual essence had not been drained, then the value of these bones would be amazing. Strange, in the War of the 100 Races, there would not be so many bones piled up together. They should be scattered everywhere. Could it be that someone specially gathered these corpses here? Lu Ming guessed. Then, are there any dragon bones here? Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. In the War of the 100 Races, the Dragon Clan was most likely involved. If he could find some dragon bones, his dragon god battle body would be able to evolve. If he could break through the category of the Earth spiritual body and evolve to the low-level heaven spiritual body, then Lu Ming's strength would skyrocket. Let's look for it. Lu Ming suddenly became excited. Although these bones had lost a lot of spiritual essence, as long as there was enough, it could still allow Lu Ming's dragon god battle body to evolve. Chapter 1605. Roar, roar, roar. All around, the roars of demonic creatures kept coming, but because of the prison-suppressing steel, these demonic creatures all stayed far away from Lu Ming. So many powerful demonic creatures, more than one Saint Realm demonic creature. Lu Ming sensed his surroundings and was secretly shocked. Here, he sensed several terrifying demonic creatures exuding powerful saint aura. Fortunately, he had the prison-suppressing steel to deter these demonic creatures. Otherwise, he would not have been able to walk in at all and would have been killed by the demonic creatures. That's a dragon bone. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up, and he strode forward. A skeleton that was hundreds of meters long was lying on the ground, with 5 dragon claws under its abdomen. If it was not the skeleton of a real dragon, what was it? Lu Ming was overjoyed. There really was a dragon bone here. Sure enough, the loss of spiritual essence is very serious. Lu Ming walked to the side of the dragon bone, carefully sensed it, and sighed slightly. Although this dragon bone was very large, there was not much spiritual essence left, and it would be difficult for his dragon god battle body to evolve. There should be more than one dragon bone here. Look again. Lu Ming began to search around. This place was very large, covered with bones, and the sky was filled with a faint demonic qi, blocking vision. Lu Ming could only search slowly. Sure enough, not long after, Lu Ming found another dragon bone, which also had a serious loss of spiritual essence. Lu Ming dragged this dragon bone to the previous one and put the 2 dragon bones together. Then he continued to search. Half a day later, Lu Ming found a total of 10 huge dragon bones. These dragon bones were definitely above the Saint Realm when they were alive, or even stronger than the Bright Saint Realm, but they all died in battle. After finding 10 dragon bones, Lu Ming walked around again, but did not find any new dragon bones. It seems that there are only these dragon bones here. 10 dragon bones should be enough. Lu Ming's eyes were full of anticipation, and he returned to the place where the dragon bones were piled. The 10 dragon bones were piled together like a small mountain. Immediately, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged. His devouring power erupted and enveloped the pile of dragon bones. He devoured the spiritual essence within the dragon bones and began to cultivate the dragon god battle body. This was the most suitable place to cultivate. The prison-suppressing steel floated in the air, and those demonic creatures did not dare to come close. As for other martial artists, they definitely could not enter. It was the perfect place for seclusion. The essence of the dragon bone was constantly being devoured and refined by the power of swallowing, seeping into Lu Ming's spirit body. Lu Ming's body emitted a faint glow, and faint dragon roars could be heard. The spiritual essence of the dragon bone continued to gather in Lu Ming's body, seeping into the depths of his physical body. As long as it accumulated to a certain level, Lu Ming's spirit body would undergo a qualitative change, achieving an upgrade and stepping into a higher level. Just like that, Lu Ming cultivated wholeheartedly. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Roar. A dragon's roar shook the 9 heavens, emanating from Lu Ming's body. The 10 true dragon bones were shaken by the dragon's roar, and immediately turned into ashes and scattered on the ground. The spiritual essence of the dragon bones had been completely absorbed by Lu Ming, and these dragon bones naturally turned into powder. Roar. At this time, the dragon's roar in Lu Ming's body grew louder and louder. Finally, in the void above Lu Ming's head, a huge phantom of 9 dragons appeared. The 9 dragons stepped on the void, roaming the outer space. Heaven and Earth Vision. The appearance of the Heaven and Earth Vision meant that Lu Ming's spirit body had officially entered the ranks of the heavenly spirit body. Whoosh! Lu Ming suddenly opened his eyes. His body soared into the air, and he punched out. A terrifying fist force, accompanied by an ear-piercing whistle, blasted toward a demonic creature not far away. This demonic creature was directly sent flying by the fist force, and it slid a few hundred meters on the ground. Such power! A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. That demonic creature had the strength of a stage 1/2 saint. It was an ordinary demonic creature, but it was sent flying by Lu Ming's punch. Lu Ming's cultivation was still at the peak of the 7th level martial royal realm, but his combat strength had been greatly improved. He was much stronger than before. The heavenly spirit body was not comparable to the earthly spirit body at all. Whoosh! Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed toward the demonic creature. The prison-suppressing steel suppressed it. The demonic creature screamed, turned around, and ran away. Well, forget it. These demonic creatures don't dare to fight me when I use the prison-suppressing steel here. But once I put it away, these demonic creatures will attack me together. Lu Ming was somewhat depressed. He had wanted to see if he could see some demonic demon crystals of the half-saint level, but it seemed that he had to give up. It's been half a month. It's time to leave. I can't just hide in one place and cultivate. Lu Ming thought, and then walked out of the valley. He had enough demon fiend crystals on him, enough to use for some time. Soon, he came out of the valley and put away the prison-suppressing steel. He spread his black wings and flew toward the exit of this area. On the way, he found some other people who were still hunting for demonic demon crystals here. Lu Ming did not stop. He spread his black wings and flew past the ground below at an astonishing speed. Soon, Lu Ming saw the exit. It was the crack that he had entered from. Lu Ming directly flew out of the crack. Just as Lu Ming flew out of the crack, his pupils constricted. He sensed a terrifying danger descending upon him all of a sudden. Whoosh! A slight wave was directed at Lu Ming's throat. The terrible sharpness made Lu Ming's muscles tense up. Boom! Without the slightest hesitation, Lu Ming threw an uppercut upward. Boom! This punch seemed to have hit a long sword. With a hum, the long sword was deflected by Lu Ming's punch. However, the terrifying sharpness still left a bloody mark on Lu Ming's neck. Moreover, there were strands of terrifying sword chi that followed Lu Ming's fist and poured into Lu Ming's arm. Lu Ming's arm muscles trembled and destroyed the sword chi. Whoosh! Whoosh! The slight sound of air being torn apart sounded again. The terrifying sharpness was directed at Lu Ming's vital points. Retreat! Lu Ming's figure retreated rapidly. He retreated from the crack and returned to the world below, standing in the void. People from the Thousand Slayer Manor. A sharp light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. The assassins from the Thousand Slayer Manor had finally found him. You must die for killing people from my Thousand Slayer Manor. A cold voice rang out. Two figures appeared in front of Lu Ming. They were both dressed in black and exuded a cold, murderous intent, as well as a faint aura of sage. Half-saint. The two black-clothed figures were actually half-saint existences. The Thousand Slayer Manor really thinks highly of me. They actually sent out two half-saints. Lu Ming said, "That's why no one can escape from my Thousand Slayer Manor," one of the black-clothed figures said coldly. Chapter 1606. Let's do it. The black dragon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand and the black wings spread out. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with intense battle intent. From the aura of the two assassins, it was obvious that they were first-stage half-saints who had grasped the ultimate domain. Lu Ming's spiritual body had just finished evolving, becoming an inferior heaven spiritual body. He wanted to test his battle prowess. Before his spiritual body evolved, Lu Ming was confident that he could fight an ordinary first-stage half-saint. What was an ordinary first-stage half-saint? It was an ordinary spiritual body or an inferior earth spiritual body that had broken through to the half-saint realm. However, the two assassins in front of him clearly had superior earth spiritual bodies. Their battle prowess was not something an ordinary half-saint could compare to. There is no need for the two of us to work together to kill a seventh-stage martial king like you. I alone am enough. One of the black-clothed assassins stepped forward. A sword as thin as a cicada's wing was faintly discernible in his hand. As for the other assassin, he stood in the air without moving. Whoosh! The black-robed man in front of him moved. With a single movement, his figure disappeared in the air without leaving a trace. Whoosh! Suddenly, the sound of something breaking through the air came from behind Lu Ming. A sharp sword light pierced toward Lu Ming's back. What a fast speed! The assassin had just moved, and he had already appeared behind Lu Ming. Such a terrifying assassination technique was indeed shocking. Buzz! The black dragon spear shook and swept behind. However, when the black dragon spear swept past, the sharp intent disappeared. In the next moment, a sharp intent appeared in front of Lu Ming. Before the terrifying sword chi could reach Lu Ming, it felt like it was going to tear Lu Ming apart. Whoosh! Lu Ming controlled the black wings and slashed forward like a heavenly blade. However, just like before, the black wings slashed through the air. The assassin had already disappeared in front of him. The assassin's speed was too fast. When he attacked, he was as fast as lightning. He could attack Lu Ming from all directions at any time. Whoosh, whoosh. Air-piercing sounds could be heard all of a sudden. They seemed to be attacking Lu Ming from all directions. For a moment, Lu Ming did not know which side was real and which was fake. Sweep. Lu Ming used the most overbearing method and swept the black dragon spear in all directions. However, when the spear swept past, there was no one. The assassination techniques of the Thousand Slayer manner are indeed marvelous. However, they can hide their bodies but not their souls. He then closed his eyes and released his spiritual senses to sense the other party's soul fluctuations. Over there. Suddenly, Lu Ming sensed an obscure soul fluctuation. Without any hesitation, he became one with his spear and charged in that direction. Clang. The sound of metal clashing could be heard as a black figure emerged and retreated in the void. You're only a 7th layer martial dominator, but your soul force is pretty strong. You were able to locate me through the ripples of my soul. The black-robed man spoke, seeming a little surprised. Your concealment technique is useless against me. Lu Ming said. Haha, I was just testing my strength. Since my concealment technique is useless, I'll kill you head-on. The assassin laughed coldly. His murderous intent grew stronger. Whoosh! The man in black moved and pounced on Lu Ming. He was as fast as a black stream of light, leaving behind a series of afterimages. The terrifying sword aura cut through the void and pierced toward Lu Ming. Since concealment was not enough, he would attack head-on. Lu Ming showed no fear. The roar of a dragon could be heard from his body as he stabbed forward with the spear in his hand. Clang! The spear and the sword clashed. Lu Ming could feel a terrifying destructive force from his opponent's sword, which surged toward him along the black dragon spear. Lu Ming circulated his true force and chaotic domain to resist the force. The two figures backed away at the same time. Ultimate sky-shattering domain. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. His opponent's domain had surpassed the 9th grade domain and reached the ultimate domain. Furthermore, it was the sky-shattering domain with a shocking, penetrating force. Kill. The man in black retreated and once again charged toward Lu Ming. Sword gleams filled the sky, as if many stars were shining. Lu Ming's spear vibrated, stabbing out spear shadows that constantly collided with his opponent. Dense sounds of collision rang out. In the blink of an eye, the two had exchanged dozens of blows. Whoosh! The assassin retreated rapidly like a phantom. He looked at Lu Ming with astonishment in his eyes. Clearly, he didn't expect Lu Ming's combat strength to be so terrifying. The other assassin who was watching the battle from afar also revealed a grave expression. Is that all you've got? That's all you've got. Lu Ming sneered. You actually have a heaven spiritual body. Could it be that you can kill a genius of my Thousand Slayer manner? But your cultivation is too weak. If your cultivation was 1 or 2 levels higher, I wouldn't be your opponent. But now, you still have to die. The assassin said coldly. The sword in his hand emitted a strange black light. Thousand slaying sword art, 10-step slash. Whoosh! The assassin's figure instantly crossed the void. The terrifying sword light was like a flying immortal. In an instant, he slashed out 10 times. The power of each slash was extremely terrifying. This was a terrifying killing technique that could kill with a single slash. Lu Ming's expression turned grave. His muscles bulged and the black dragon spear in his hand seemed to have transformed into a black dragon that roared out. Clang! Clang! A series of collisions erupted. Terrifying sword chi flowed along the spear and surged into Lu Ming's body. However, they were all destroyed by Lu Ming's powerful physical body. Thousand slaying sword art, 100 extermination. The terrifying sword light appeared again, even more shocking than before. 1 slash and 100 people were exterminated. Lu Ming roared. His battle intent soared into the sky as he fought with his opponent. Poochie. A sword wound appeared on Lu Ming's shoulder. However, under Lu Ming's powerful spiritual body, it quickly healed. To be honest, the assassin's strength was indeed shocking. Most importantly, His cultivation was much higher than Lu Ming's. Lu Ming's cultivation was at the peak of the 7th layer martial royal realm, while his opponent's cultivation was only at the first stage half-saint realm. The difference between the peak of the 9th layer martial royal realm and the half-saint realm was not as simple as one layer. Therefore, the difference between the first stage half-saint realm and the 7th layer martial royal realm was too great. If his opponent was an ordinary half-saint, Lu Ming would be able to surpass him. However, his opponent was also a genius with a superior earthly spiritual body. After exchanging 100 blows, Lu Ming was still at a disadvantage. Not enough, far from enough. Lu Ming groaned in his heart. This kind of pressure was far from enough for him to unleash his full potential in a battle of life and death. He needed the kind of pressure that was close to death to unleash his potential and allow him to achieve a breakthrough quickly. Is this all you've got? How dare you say you're going to kill me? Ridiculous. Both of you, come at me together. Lu Ming let out a roar as his battle intent grew stronger. How is this possible? The assassin found it hard to believe. With his cultivation of the half-saint realm, he could not even kill a 7th layer martial royal realm. Even if his opponent had a heavenly spiritual body, his combat strength could not be so strong that he could surpass so many levels to fight with him. Chapter 1607. Attack together. The black-clothed man roared. Swish. The other black-clothed man who was watching the battle moved and pounced towards Lu Ming. His sword light cut through the void, and the terrifying sharpness seemed to want to tear Lu Ming apart. This person's cultivation was stronger than the previous black-clothed man. He was not far from the second stage of the half-step saint realm and comprehending the laws. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. The divine sword art turned into a rolling sound wave and rushed out, slowing down the opponent's sword. At the same time, Lu Ming stabbed out with his spear and blocked the opponent's sword. 1,000 killing sword art, 1,000 miles of sky. The first black-clothed man once again displayed a terrifying killing technique. Thousands of sword light bloomed from his hand, and the sword chi whistled in the sky. It was extremely terrifying. As the first black-clothed man slashed out with his sword, the sword light in the sky turned into a single ray and slashed towards Lu Ming. Danger! At this moment, Lu Ming felt a fatal danger. The sword light was too fast. It was so fast that Lu Ming couldn't block it even if he wanted to. Swish! His first reaction was to use the black wings to block in front of him. The opponent's sword light directly pierced the black wings. Sizzle! An ear-piercing sound rang out as sparks flew in all directions. His opponent's long sword actually pierced through the primal chaos domain covering the black wings. The black wings trembled as if they were about to be pierced through. Swish! Lu Ming retreated rapidly. To his shock, he discovered that there was indeed a small dent on the black wings. The black wings had been pierced. Even a saint weapon could be damaged. This showed how terrifying the opponent's attack was. Yes, this is the feeling. Lu Ming wasn't shocked. Instead, he was happy. This was the feeling he wanted, the feeling of being in danger. Swish! At this moment, the second black-clothed man also launched a terrifying attack towards him. Then, the first black-clothed man continued to attack Lu Ming. Dragon roars resounded. The black dragon spear in Lu Ming's hand danced and swept in all directions as he fought with the two black-clothed men. Facing the two black-clothed men, Lu Ming was completely at a disadvantage. However, Lu Ming didn't ask Bubble for help, nor did he call out his second body. He didn't even use the chaotic flipping sky seal, because what Lu Ming wanted was to stimulate his own potential when he was in danger. If he were to call out Bubbles or his second body to help, how would he be able to force himself to stimulate his potential? In the end, Lu Ming simply put away the black feather wings and fought with the black dragon spear alone. 1,000 killing sword art, 1,000 miles of sky. 1,000 killing sword art, 1,000 miles of sky. At this moment, the two black-robed men simultaneously used their strongest killing moves. Sword chi filled the sky, transforming into two terrifying sword lights. One attacked Lu Ming from the front, while the other attacked Lu Ming from behind. This was a killing move, an incomparably terrifying killing move. At this moment, Lu Ming felt a chill in his heart. He felt a terrifying sense of danger enveloping him. At this moment, he even wanted to call out Bubbles, or his second body, for help. However, this thought was quickly rejected by him. He wanted to rely on himself to avoid this killing move. At this moment, Lu Ming's essence, energy, and spirit were highly concentrated. His pupils were about to shrink to a point. Boom! At this moment, Lu Ming's mind seemed to rumble and explode. His spirit seemed to have fused with nature. At this moment, everything in the world seemed to have slowed down. He saw the 2,000 Killers' Manor's fatal swords approaching him. Swish! At this moment, Lu Ming took a step forward and disappeared from his original spot. The sword lights of the two assassins collided with each other. With a terrifying rumble, the two assassins' bodies shook violently. They both retreated with blood flowing out from the corners of their mouths. They were somewhat in disbelief. How could Lu Ming escape from their killing moves? Ethereal life and death realm. This is the ethereal life and death realm. Kill! Lu Ming muttered. Then, with a loud shout, the primal chaos domain erupted. Lu Ming charged at the two assassins. The ethereal life and death realm was a miraculous realm. Some cultivators would enter this realm due to their high concentration when facing the threat of death. This was the ethereal life and death realm. This realm was like an epiphany. The cultivator's spirit fused with heaven and earth. Their comprehension of the grand Tao of heaven and earth would increase greatly. At this moment, Lu Ming's comprehension of the primal chaos domain seemed to skyrocket. Boom! Boom! The black dragon spear in Lu Ming's hand turned into two resplendent spear lights. On top of them, the primal chaos domain was as heavy as a mountain. The spear lights pierced the swords of the two assassins. The two assassins' bodies shook and flew back. Lu Ming opened his eyes. His eyes were incomparably bright. Level 8 Primal Chaos Domain. Lu Ming muttered. He was somewhat surprised. In that instant, he had entered the ethereal life and death realm. His primal chaos domain had actually broken through and entered the 8th level. The effect of the ethereal life and death realm was truly shocking. No wonder so many geniuses entered the 100-race battlefield to find people to fight. Walking on the edge of life and death, one's improvement was truly great. Unfortunately, the ethereal life and death realm couldn't be maintained for long. In a few breaths, one would walk out of that state. Otherwise, how fast would one's improvement be? He broke through. The two assassins from the Thousand Slayer Manor emitted intense killing intent. They wanted to kill Lu Ming, but they didn't expect that Lu Ming's potential would be stimulated, and he would break through under their siege. So what if he broke through? He still has to die. Kill! One of the assassins shouted coldly. His killing intent was as cold as a blade. It's time for this battle to end, Lu Ming said coldly. His glabella shone and Ming Lian's second body stepped out. A Tai Chi disc floated above his head. 2 No, it's 1. The two assassins' eyes narrowed. Buzz. The Tai Chi disc shone and a Tai Chi pattern appeared, suppressing one of the assassins. Lu Ming's main body charged towards the other assassin. In Lu Ming's hand, a chaotic sky seal appeared and rapidly expanded. In the end, the chaotic sky seal grew to the size of a small mountain and suppressed the assassin. Its terrifying aura completely locked onto the other party. 1,000 slaying sword art, 1,000 miles of sky. The assassin roared and executed his ultimate move. He executed a resplendent sword, wanting to break through the chaotic sky seal. But when his sword light slashed on the chaotic sky seal, his sword light directly shattered. He retreated frantically and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Retreat. The assassin roared and retreated frantically. Lu Ming's combat strength was terrifyingly strong. He actually didn't use his full strength earlier. Now that he unleashed his full strength, the power was shocking. Retreat? Where can you retreat to? Lu Ming said coldly. Buzz. A huge chaotic sky seal formed above the assassin's head. It emitted a vast and terrifying aura. Its power was even stronger than the previous chaotic sky seal. Chapter 1608. Bang! The mountain-like primal chaos flipping seal crushed down onto the assassin. No! The assassin let out a roar and tried his best to resist, but it was to no avail. The giant seal crushed the assassin's body and destroyed his soul. The other assassin's expression changed tremendously. He tried to break out of the encirclement, but there was nothing he could do. The Tai Chi formation disc was a treasure on par with a monarch weapon. It contained a terrifying heaven-earth formation, which was used to refine his second body. The longer he was in possession of the second body, the stronger its power would be as he continued to study it. The assassin could barely protect himself within the Tai Chi formation disc. He was already injured, let alone trying to break out of the encirclement. After killing one of the assassins, Lu Ming headed toward the remaining assassin. Bang! The primal chaos flipping seal was executed, and the outcome was obvious. The Thousand Killers sect will never forgive you. The assassin let out a roar as he was about to die. His soul was then destroyed by the primal chaos flipping seal. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming grabbed the storage rings of the two assassins. My primal chaos domain has reached the 8th grade. I should find a place to cultivate and improve my cultivation to the 8th layer martial dominator realm. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He flicked his fingers and 2 balls of flames flew out, burning the bodies of the 2 assassins in black into ashes. He then spread his black wings and dashed out of the crack. After flying for a while, Lu Ming dashed into a huge mountain and entered the mountain river map. Lu Ming took out a pile of origin stones and began to refine them to improve his cultivation. A few days later, Lu Ming's cultivation had successfully improved to the early stage of the 8th layer martial dominator realm. Let's see if there's anything good in their storage rings. Lu Ming took out a few storage rings, which belonged to the purple-robed young man of the Wan clan and the assassins of the Thousand Killers sect. Lu Ming first checked the storage rings of the assassins of the Thousand Killers sect. There are quite a lot of treasures here. Unfortunately, there's no cultivation technique of the Thousand Killers sect. After Lu Ming did a check, he was a little excited, but also a little regretful. The spatial rings of the Thousand Killers Manor's assassins were filled with treasures. The 2 half-saints of the Thousand Killers Manor actually had more than 15 saint weapons in their spatial rings. It was even more than the sacred weapons that Lu Ming and the others had obtained from the Dragon Palace's treasury. But thinking about it, it was normal. These 2 assassins from the Thousand Slayer Manor had killed countless geniuses in the 100 race battlefield. Moreover, those who entered the 100 race battlefield were all geniuses from various Emperor-level forces. Each of them would more or less have a saint weapon on them. It wasn't strange for the 2 assassins from the Thousand Slayer Manor to have so many saint weapons in their storage rings. However, Lu Ming was very interested in the cultivation techniques of the Thousand Slayers Manor. Their assassination techniques were incomparably shocking, able to kill people in an instant. Sadly, he didn't manage to see it. After that, Lu Ming took out the storage ring of the purple-clad young man from the Wan clan. There were also 2 saint weapons in the storage ring of the purple-clad young man from the Wan clan. Of course, the thing that moved Lu Ming's heart the most was a jade token in a box. 10,000 weapons art. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The Wan clan's cultivation technique was even more amazing. It could actually seal saint weapons and spiritual weapons in one's body. When the chi of battle weapons converged, the power would be incomparably terrifying. Lu Ming immediately started to seriously look at it. Amazing, amazing, truly amazing. After a long while, Lu Ming finished looking at it and sighed. The Wan clan's 10,000 weapons art was indeed amazing. It could seal saint weapons and spiritual weapons in one's body. When the weapons were in the body, the chi of battle weapons would converge and release a terrifying power. Moreover, every time a weapon was sealed, the power would increase, and there would be no end to it. There were 360 major acupoints in one's body and countless smaller acupoints. If all of them were sealed in weapons, how terrifying would the power be? The higher the level of the weapons sealed, the stronger the power. Of course, sealing weapons into acupoints had a high requirement on one's body. The stronger one's spiritual body and the higher one's cultivation, the more saint weapons one could seal, and the higher the level. The 2 purple-robed youths from the Wan clan could only seal sovereign-level spirit weapons. One of them had sealed 18 sovereign-level spirit weapons. Clearly, the purple-robed youth's body was not strong enough. If he forcefully sealed the saint weapons, the power of the saint weapons would probably cause his body to explode. However, just sealing 18 emperor weapons was already terrifying. Even Yun Shi, who had a saint weapon, was not a match for him. As for the noble youth, he was even more terrifying. He had directly sealed 12 saint weapons, and no one knew if there were more. However, the noble youth had a spiritual body, and his cultivation had reached the second stage of the half-saint realm. It was not surprising that he could seal 12 saint weapons. Moreover, there was an extremely harsh condition to cultivate the 10,000 weapons art. One had to cultivate the 10,000 weapons domain to be able to cultivate the 10,000 weapons art. The 10,000 weapons domain was a terrifying domain. This domain could transform a domain into different weapon domains, such as a sword domain, a saber domain, a spear domain, and so on. Otherwise, it would be impossible to merge so many different weapons. If one did not cultivate the 10,000 weapons domain, they would not be able to cultivate the 10,000 weapons art. It was no wonder that the Wan clan was so assured to carry the 10,000 weapons art with them. Even if others obtained it, they would not be able to cultivate it. However, a smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. The 10,000 weapons domain? Lu Ming cultivated the primal chaos domain. Not to mention transforming various weapon domains, Lu Ming could transform all of them except for a few peak domains. Naturally, he could also transform various weapon domains. The 10,000 weapons art was simply too suitable for Lu Ming. Lu Ming immediately began to carefully comprehend it. After cultivating the 10,000 weapons art, Lu Ming would have one more technique. 2 days later, Lu Ming finished his comprehension and the black dragon spear appeared in his hand. Lu Ming began to seal the sacred weapon into his acupoints. Currently, Lu Ming's spiritual body was a heavenly spiritual body. Furthermore, it contained a trace of primal chaos chi, which was stronger than a heavenly spiritual body of the same level. He was confident that it would not be a problem to merge it with the sacred weapon. Acupoints, open. Immediately, Lu Ming activated the 10,000 weapons art. On his right palm, there was a dot of light emitting a bright glow. That was a major acupoint on his right palm. The human body had 360 major acupoints that covered the entire body. Seal. Following this, Lu Ming shouted. The black dragon spear rapidly shrank and entered the acupoint on Lu Ming's palm. Immediately, Lu Ming felt a powerful battle weapon chi crazily attacking his acupoints, causing him to feel a sharp pain. If his physical body was not strong enough and his cultivation was not profound enough, his body would have been torn apart by the battle weapon chi. However, Lu Ming had a heavenly spiritual body. His physical body was incomparably strong. Although he felt a sharp pain, he immediately suppressed it. After a while, the black dragon spear calmed down and quietly floated in his acupoints. Chapter 1609. After successfully sealing a saint weapon, Lu Ming's confidence was greatly boosted. Then, the black feather wing flew out. Lu Ming circulated the 10,000 weapon art, and a spot of light lit up on his spine. Lu Ming sealed the black feather wing into this acupoint. After sealing the 2 saint weapons, the 2 acupoints seemed to connect through the meridians. A strand of battle weapon chi gathered through the meridians. Then, Lu Ming took out a battle sword. This battle sword was also a saint weapon, and he sealed it into the acupoint of his left palm. The 3 acupoints were connected through the meridians. Next, Lu Ming began to seal the 4th saint weapon. As more and more saint weapons were sealed, the battle weapon chi grew stronger and stronger. The pressure on the acupoints also grew stronger. Every time he sealed a saint weapon, Lu Ming's acupoints felt like they were about to be torn apart. It was incomparably painful. However, Lu Ming gritted his teeth and endured each and every one of them. In the end, Lu Ming sealed 10 saint weapons in one go. The 10 saint weapons were sealed in 10 acupoints. They were connected through the meridians, and the battle weapon chi was incomparably powerful. At this point, he finally reached his limit. Lu Ming felt that if he continued to seal, his physical body would not be able to endure and would be torn apart by the battle weapon chi. If he wanted to seal more saint weapons, he would have to wait for his cultivation to increase or his spirit body to evolve. Whoosh! Lu Ming soared into the sky. With a thought, 10 spots of light lit up on his body. 10 saint weapons appeared and floated around Lu Ming. Lu Ming stabbed out with the black dragon spear. A terrifying spear light pierced out 1,000 miles before disappearing. Its power is truly shocking. The 10,000 weapon art is known as the 10,000 weapon art. If it can really seal 10,000 saint weapons, its power will probably be earth-shattering. If it can seal even stronger saint weapons, such as great saint weapons, absolute saint weapons, or even emperor weapons, how terrifying would its power be? Lu Ming's face was filled with amazement. The 10,000 weapon art was a secret art, a terrifying secret art. If he could cultivate the 10,000 weapons domain into the law of 10,000 weapons, this secret technique would transform into a terrifying divine ability. With a thought, Xiao Chun put away the 10 holy weapons and returned them to his acupoints, vanishing from sight. The Thousand Slayer Manor left a slaughter mark on my main body. If they can find me based on the slaughter mark, then I'll have my second body move around outside and look for a city. My main body will stay in the mountain and river diagram to refine the demon fiend crystals and increase the strength of my soul. 2 birds with 1 stone. Lu Ming pondered. With his main body in the mountain and river diagram, he did not believe that the other party could still sense the slaughter mark. Thinking of this, the second body exited the mountain-river diagram, left the mountain, and headed towards the depths of the 100-clan battlefield. Meanwhile, Lu Ming took out a 6th-layer Martial Dominator Realm Demon Crystal from the mountain and river pattern and began refining it. After the Demon Fiend Crystal's energy entered his body, it would transform into a mass of demonic energy that poured into his dantian. Wrapping around his spiritual spirit, Lu Ming felt a burst of itchiness in his soul, as well as a tearing pain. This was the energy of the Demon Fiend Crystal, tempering his soul, allowing it to grow stronger. A few hours later, the 6th-layer Martial Dominator Realm Demon Crystal was completely refined. Lu Ming's soul improved slightly. Although it was only a slight improvement, it was a few times faster than when Lu Ming was cultivating the godly sword technique to improve his soul force. Following this, Lu Ming took out another 6th-layer Martial Dominator Realm Demon Crystal and continued refining it. As for his second body, it concealed its aura and ventured deeper into the 100-clan battlefield. Along the way, he saw many battles between geniuses, which were extremely fierce. In each battle, either both sides were severely injured, or one of them was killed. However, Lu Ming had no intention of engaging in a battle. When he saw these geniuses, he would take a detour. He was planning to find a city first before making his next move. As expected, the assassins of the Thousand Slayer Manor did not come after his main body in the mountain and river diagram. A few days later, a huge city appeared in front of him. The city was extremely magnificent, with walls a few hundred meters tall. The entrance of the city was heavily guarded by soldiers. These people were all locals who had grown up in the 100-clan battlefield. Lu Ming stepped into the city and found it to be very lively. People came and went, and shops were everywhere. On the streets, young experts could be seen from time to time. Each of them had a strong aura. Lu Ming glanced around and found that most of them were 8th-layer Martial Dominators or 9th-layer Martial Dominators. Sometimes, he even saw a half-saint. Most of these youths were like Lu Ming, who had entered the 100-clan battlefield to train. However, these people would enter the city every once in a while to rest. After all, there were local Saint Realm experts in the city. They were not allowed to kill in the city, so they could relax and adjust. Moreover, there was a special market in the city where many geniuses would exchange for treasures. The 100-clan battlefield was full of danger and opportunities. There were countless treasures left behind from the ancient war. Some people risked their lives to obtain some treasures. Lu Ming walked around and found an inn. He booked a room. Walking into the room, his second body sat cross-legged and began to cultivate. In the next few days, Lu Ming's main body had been refining the demon crystals in the mountain and river diagram. His soul was getting stronger and stronger. Now, his soul power had reached the first stage of the half-saint realm and was close to the second stage of the half-saint realm. However, it was not enough. Lu Ming was still refining the demon crystals. 10 days after Lu Ming entered the city, his soul power finally made a breakthrough and reached the second stage of the half-saint realm. With his soul power at this level, Lu Ming could use the divine sword technique to shake the soul of a second-stage half-saint expert and greatly affect them. At this point, Lu Ming stopped refining the demon crystals for the time being. Let's go to the Shura platform. With a thought, his second body entered the mountain and river diagram, while his main body exited the diagram. During this time, his second body would occasionally go out to ask for information and learned a lot of information about the city. The Shura platform was a battle platform. It was the only place in the city where people could fight. Many geniuses who came from the outside would go to the Shura platform to find opponents and have a life or death battle. They would walk on the edge of life and death and stimulate their potential. Lu Ming also wanted to find opponents to fight in the Shura platform to improve his cultivation. Soon, a building appeared in front of Lu Ming. The building was not big. Lu Ming walked in and found a battle platform. There were no seats around the platform. There were some young people standing around and watching. There were about a few hundred people. On the battle platform, there were two young people fighting fiercely. The two young people were both at the peak of the 8th layer martial royal realm and had superior earthly spiritual bodies. The two of them fought fiercely for a few hundred moves, but it was difficult to determine the winner. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two of them stood on both sides of the battle platform with many wounds on their bodies. Both of them were injured. However, the two of them didn't leave the fighting stage because there was a layer of light covering the fighting stage, making it difficult for them to leave. Lu Ming's second body had already learned that this fighting ring was called the Azura platform. Once he stepped into it, a light screen would rise around the fighting ring, shrouding it. There were only two ways to proceed. The first was to kill the opponent and end the battle. The second was to hold on for half an hour. After half an hour, the light screen would disappear and one would be able to leave the battle platform. On the Shura platform, one could not admit defeat. Therefore, if one stepped on the Shura platform and met an opponent who was much stronger than them, they would die. Chapter 16:10. The two young men were evenly matched in the fighting ring. Neither of them could defeat the other, thus they could only wait patiently. A while later, the barrier around the fighting ring disappeared as the two young men leapt down from the ring and disappeared. Whoosh! A young man in a red robe leapt onto the fighting ring. His aura was unleashed without any concealment. Intermediate 9th layer, martial dominator realm. Who's willing to fight me? The young man in a red robe scanned the surroundings. I'll do it. A voice could be heard as a young man leapt onto the fighting ring. Judging from his aura, his cultivation was at the early stage of the 9th layer martial dominator realm. Normally, those with a higher cultivation would not challenge their opponents on the Azura platform, as there was no point in training themselves. These people came here to find experts to train themselves. What's the point of challenging a weakling like him? Only those with a grudge against each other would challenge their opponents. Early stage of the 9th layer martial dominator realm. You are no match against me. The young man in a red robe said coldly. Not necessarily. The eyes of the young man in the early stage of the 9th layer martial dominator realm flickered with a strong battle intent. Buzz. At that instant, the barrier on the fighting ring rose once again. Kill. The young man in the early stage of the 9th layer martial dominator realm was the first to attack. A long spear appeared in his hand as he thrust it at the young man in a red robe at lightning speed. Bang! The young man in a red robe unleashed his domain of flames, which encapsulated his opponent's figure. At the same time, he sprang forward and slashed at his opponent with a fiery saber in his hand. Bang! Bang! Following two intense collisions, the young man in the early stage of the 9th layer martial dominator realm was knocked backward with a hint of astonishment in his eyes. He was completely at a disadvantage. Die! The young man in a red robe charged forward while unleashing a torrential attack with his fiery saber. The young man in the early stage of the 9th layer martial dominator realm uttered a furious roar and unleashed his full strength to fight against the young man in a red robe. The red-robed young man's combat strength had exceeded his expectations. He was much stronger than him. He had to fight with his life on the line. This battle was also an opportunity for him. If he could survive for half an hour under the attacks of the young man in a red robe, he would surely benefit greatly from it. Unfortunately, The young man in the red robe was significantly stronger than him. In just a few moves, the fiery saber slashed the young man in half before the terrifying flames burned his corpse into ashes. A powerful genius was killed just like that. As long as one person was killed, the light screen at the edge of the stage would disappear. Without a doubt, these sky prides were all superior Earth spiritual bodies. Even worse, unless their cultivation was very high, they would only be courting death if they came to the 100-clan battlefield. Unfortunately, even though they were all superior Earth spiritual bodies, there were still differences in strength. The red-robed youth's battle power was very strong. The red-robed young man grabbed the young man's storage ring and said coldly, "You want to use me as your whetstone? You're courting death." The 100-tribe battlefield and the Azure Arena were cruel like this. If one wanted to use the opponent as a whetstone to temper oneself, it was very likely that one would lose one's life. Who else wants to fight me? Anyone with a cultivation of the 9th layer martial dominator realm is welcome. The red-robed young man spoke again. His eyes were filled with intense battle intent. It was obvious that the red-robed young man was very confident in himself. He was also looking for experts to train himself. "I'll fight you." A bald young man leaped onto the fighting ring, releasing his aura. His cultivation was slightly higher than that of the red-robed young man. "Fight." Without further ado, the two of them began to fight. The battle on the fighting ring was extremely intense. The two of them fought with all their might, pushing themselves to their limits. Below the fighting ring, many young men were watching carefully. Watching other people's battles would sometimes inspire them. The battle between the two was extremely intense. After exchanging 100 blows, the red-robed young man was still stronger. Despite being severely injured, he managed to kill his opponent with a single slash. The red-robed young man seemed to have learned something from the battle. He left the fighting ring and disappeared. It was likely that he had found a place to cultivate in seclusion. Following that, a few more battles of life and death were carried out. Some were killed, and some were both heavily injured. "Only in such an environment can I improve rapidly," Lu Ming murmured in his heart. Following this, he took a step forward and appeared on the fighting ring. "Who's going to fight me?" Lu Ming scanned the surroundings and added, "It's best if it's a half-saint. Those below the half-saint level don't need to come and die." His words caused the crowd to fall silent. Then, a commotion broke out. "Niao niao, this guy is so smug. Judging from his cultivation, he's only an 8th layer martial dominator, yet he dares to challenge a half-saint. He even said those below the half-saint realm will die. How arrogant is he? I'll go and fight him." A young man dashed onto the fighting ring. His aura was emitted. It was a peak 8th layer martial dominator realm. "Peak 8th layer martial dominator realm? Why are you here to die?" Lu Ming shook his head in disappointment. "How presumptuous. Let's see how you're going to kill me." The young man snapped and stepped forward. His hand grabbed at Lu Ming like an eagle's claw. Bang! Lu Ming threw a punch. The terrifying fist force crushed the other party's claw. The fist force did not stop there. It bombarded the other party's dantian, and the fist force penetrated the other party's dantian. A single punch had killed the young man. Lu Ming showed no mercy. There was no such thing as showing mercy on the Azura platform. Those who stepped onto the Azura platform should be prepared to be killed. Besides, Lu Ming had already warned the young man. "I told you, those below the half-saint realm shouldn't be here to die," Lu Ming said calmly. The young men below the fighting ring glistened. A young man of the 8th layer martial dominator realm had killed a peak 8th layer martial dominator realm cultivator with a single punch. His strength was absolutely shocking. This guy's strength is indeed shocking. He's perfect for me to hone my skills. A young man with a fierce battle intent dashed onto the fighting ring with a terrifying aura. His cultivation was at the peak of the 9th layer martial dominator realm. "It's him, Kwang Kong." Kwang Kong's cultivation is at the peak of the 9th layer martial dominator realm, but his strength is extremely terrifying. He once killed a few peak 9th layer martial dominator realm geniuses in a row. He once challenged a 1st layer half-saint realm cultivator, and even though he was no match for his opponent, he managed to survive for half an hour. He has been looking for powerful opponents to challenge recently. He's trying to break his limit and comprehend the ultimate domain to rank up to the half-saint realm. The young man went onto the fighting ring, causing an uproar. However, Lu Ming still shook his head and said, "Another one here to die. Why bother?" Lu Ming was speaking from the bottom of his heart. He came here because he wanted to look for powerful cultivators to train himself. What was the point of having weak cultivators who were of no use to him? However, when his words fell into the ears of others, they became arrogant. 8th layer martial dominator realm. How dare you? Chapter 1611. The weapon that Kwang Kong used was also a long spear. It was a sacred weapon. With a curl of the long spear, it pierced out, and its attacks swept toward Lu Ming like a violent storm. Boom! Lu Ming made his move. His attack was as simple as before. Using the primal chaos domain and the suppressing hell heavenly art, Kwang Kong's attack instantly collapsed. The fist didn't stop as it continued to attack Kwang Kong. Kwang Kong's expression changed drastically. The power of Lu Ming's fist was too terrifying, far beyond his expectations. Block! He roared, and a green shield appeared. It was a saint weapon. At the same time, a gale swept out from his body, and several shields appeared around him. Boom! Lu Ming's punch landed on the sacred weapon shield, giving off a terrifying roar. The sacred weapon shield was sent flying and collided with Kwang Kong's body. Kwang Kong let out a muffled groan as he was sent flying. He slammed heavily into the light screen at the edge of the fighting ring. The light screen trembled for a moment, blocking his body. Kwang Kong slid down the light screen, vomiting blood. How is this possible? Kwang Kong roared in disbelief. Lu Ming's battle strength was too terrifying. Even with his cultivation, he couldn't withstand a single blow. Moreover, his defensive power had once blocked the continuous attacks of a first-stage half-saint. Now, he was seriously injured by Lu Ming's fist. Below the stage, the others were also shocked. "Kill," Lu Ming said coldly and stepped forward, pressing towards Kwang Kong. "Block. I want to block." Kwang Kong roared. He waved his hands, and 2 more shields appeared. They were both saint weapons. 3 saint weapon shields stacked together and floated in front of him. At the same time, an armor appeared on his body. It was also a saint weapon. With so many defensive saint weapons, it was no wonder that he could block the continuous attacks of a half-saint. True Yuan poured into the flowing element glove, and the glove's weight continued to increase. Boom! Another punch blasted out, bombarding Kwang Kong's shield. Kwang Kong was like a sandbag as he was sent flying. He crashed into the light barrier, causing it to shake violently. As for Kwang Kong, he vomited a mouthful of blood. It was unknown how many of his bones had been broken. How can this person's strength be so terrifying? Kwang Kong despaired. Lu Ming's strength had surpassed the half-saint he had encountered before. How could an 8th layer martial emperor possess such shocking strength? Little did he know that when Lu Ming was still a peak 7th layer martial dominator, he was already able to face the half-martial sacred of the Thousand Assassins sect head-on. Now that he had broken through to the 8th layer martial dominator realm, his strength was even stronger. Kill! The black dragon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand. With a thrust, the 13 strikes exploded. 13 bursts of power superimposed on each other, directly penetrating Kwang Kong's heavy defenses and bombarding his body. Kwang Kong screamed miserably as his body was sent flying. This time, Kwang Kong did not get up again. Even with the protection of a sacred weapon, his life was extinguished. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming collected Kwang Kong's holy weapon and storage ring. Who else wants to fight? It's best if it's a half-saint. Lu Ming looked around and repeated his words. How powerful! This person's strength is even stronger than a first-layer half-saint. It's unbelievable that an 8th layer martial emperor could possess such terrifying strength. He must have a heavenly spiritual body. Even a heavenly spiritual body isn't that terrifying. Below the fighting stage, many people were discussing. For a moment, no one went up. Some people's eyes flickered as if they were evaluating their own strength. Lu Ming had killed Kwang Fong in a few moves. His strength had already surpassed many first-layer half-saints. Some first-layer half-saints were also evaluating their own battle strength to see if they could fight against Lu Ming. "I'll go." After a while, a young man in a green robe stepped onto the fighting stage. "It's him, Lei Xiong." Many people's eyes flickered when they saw the young man. It's said that Lei Xiong is about to break through to the second layer of the half-saint realm and comprehend the Dharma. Now that he's on the fighting stage, this battle will be interesting. On the fighting stage, a smile finally appeared on Lu Ming's face. Finally, someone decent had come. "Die." Lei Xiong attacked directly. His whole body was covered with lightning. The terrifying lightning condensed into a thunder seal and attacked Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming's black dragon spear shot up and swept the thunder seal. With a boom, the thunder seal exploded, and the whole fighting stage was filled with the power of the thunder cauldron. But then, a large thunder cauldron pressed down on Lu Ming. "Come on!" Lu Ming shouted as he struck out with his black dragon spear again. Lei Xiong had mastered the ultimate thunder domain and had cultivated a terrifying domain martial technique. The power of lightning could be transformed into various terrifying offensive skills with astonishing power. Lu Ming did not use the divine sword art or the chaotic sky flipping seal. He only used ordinary battle skills to fight with Lei Xiong. For a while, the two of them were fiercely fighting, and it was difficult to determine the winner. This battle lasted for half an hour. The battle only ended when the light screen disappeared. Phew! Lei Xiong gasped for breath. He had used up a lot of his genuine essence. If the battle continued, he would not be able to withstand it. On the other hand, Lu Ming was still calm and composed. "Monster!" Lei Xiong muttered as he turned around and left the fighting stage. "It's a pity that I'm still lacking. I don't have that sense of crisis," Lu Ming whispered. After the battle with Lei Xiong, Lu Ming felt refreshed. He felt that he had comprehended the chaotic domain, but he did not have that sense of crisis. After all, the effect was still lacking. "Is there a rank 2 sage to be? Come up and fight." Lu Ming spoke again, and his voice resounded throughout the whole area. Below the fighting stage, many people looked at each other in dismay. Lu Ming wanted to challenge a rank 2 sage to be. What a freak! An 8th-level martial royal realm cultivator challenging a rank 2 sage to be was dumbfounded. Even though these people were from Emperor-level forces, it should be known that the sage to be here were not ordinary sage to be outside. They were all genius sage to be. It's really interesting that such a genius has appeared. If I can kill such a genius, it will be interesting. A cold voice rang out as a pale-faced youth stepped onto the fighting stage. Bang! Then, he took a step forward and a terrifying force surged toward Lu Ming. The power of law. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Then, a trace of excitement appeared on his face. This person was a rank 2 sage to be. 13 power-storing strikes. The black dragon spear thrust forward. Boom! The black dragon spear seemed to have pierced a steel mountain. A terrifying force surged, causing the black dragon spear to bend. Lu Ming's body retreated continuously. He retreated more than 10 steps before he regained his balance. The power of law is really powerful, Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart. His eyes were filled with excitement and a strong desire to fight. Chapter 16:12. Bam! The pale youth stepped forward, his aura skyrocketing. A blood-red light appeared and circled around his body. Blood God Slash. The blood-red light was like a divine blade that slashed at Lu Ming. This blood-red light gave Lu Ming a strong sense of danger. A dragon's roar came from Lu Ming's body. Above his head, 9 dragons were faintly discernible as they danced in the air. Heaven and earth phenomenon. Lu Ming pushed his dragon god battle body to the limit, causing a heaven and earth phenomenon, following which, Lu Ming stomped heavily on the ground. His entire body twisted like a huge dragon. Then, he drove the long spear and thrust it out. Clang! The black dragon spear collided with the blood-red light. A terrifying force seemed to pierce through the black dragon spear and split Lu Ming in half. Lu Ming's body trembled as he retreated again. The second stage of Half-Saint is indeed much stronger than the first stage. The power of laws is indestructible and unstoppable. Thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. The pale-faced youth had the same cultivation level as the noble youth from the Wan family. However, his battle prowess was much weaker than the noble youth from the Wan family. The noble youth from the Wan family was an existence with a heavenly spiritual body. However, even if he was far inferior to the Wan clan's youth, his battle strength was still incomparably strong. After all, he could control the power of laws. The laws were the foundation of this world. You're not bad to be able to take 2 of my moves, but it ends here, the pale youth said coldly. He controlled the power of laws and continued to attack Lu Ming. Is that so? The battle intent in Lu Ming's eyes grew stronger and stronger. There was no fear in his eyes. Specks of light lit up on his body as sacred weapons flew out and floated around Lu Ming. There were a total of 10 sacred weapons. The aura of the sacred weapons gathered together, making Lu Ming's aura even stronger. 10,000 weapon art. You're from the Wan clan. The pale youth's eyes narrowed. Lu Ming smiled and did not comment. Looks like the Wan clan has produced another genius. It's time to kill him. The pale-faced youth took a large step forward. The bloody light was like a rainbow as it slashed towards Lu Ming. Wong. The black dragon's spear vibrated like a dragon's roar as it pierced forward. At the same time, Lu Ming's left hand grabbed a saint artifact battle sword and slashed down. Boom. Boom. This time, after the 2 explosions, Lu Ming still retreated, but this time, he retreated a few steps less than before. Kill, kill, kill. The pale-faced youth bellowed and the blood-colored light shot towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming was not afraid at all. He rushed forward, his eyes emitting 2 black rays of light. When the divine sword art was unleashed, the pale-faced young man's body shook violently as pain flashed across his eyes. However, he forcefully endured it, and the power of law continued to attack Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's soul power was no weaker than the soul power of a second-stage half-saint. His opponent's soul power was also affected by the divine sword secret art, and his strength was weakened. Boom, boom. The 2 of them clashed again, and at the moment of collision, they exchanged a few blows. This time, Lu Ming retreated again, but only by a few steps. He was barely able to resist his opponent's attack. Hiss! Below the fighting ring, the others gasped. Lu Ming's combat strength was too terrifying. He was only in the 8th stage of the martial royal realm, but he was able to fight a second-stage half-saint genius. A peerless genius. Someone exclaimed. Even the strongest heaven's pride of an emperor-level force wouldn't have such battle prowess. Only those ancient and terrifying forces would have such geniuses. That's right. The Wan family has such a genius. Many geniuses exclaimed and discussed. On the fighting ring, the battle continued. Lu Ming unleashed the divine sword secret art and was finally able to fight with his opponent. Soon, the 2 of them had exchanged dozens of blows. Awesome, awesome, Lu Ming roared. In the celestial phenomenon, the 9 dragons also roared. Except for the chaotic sky flipping seal, Lu Ming did not hold back. His true essence whistled, and he unleashed his realm to the extreme. The 2 of them fought fiercely. Terrifying energy waves raged and bombarded the light curtain at the edge of the fighting ring, causing it to shake violently. You're using me as a whetstone. The pale young man's eyes were cold. He knew that Lu Ming was using him as a whetstone to improve himself. However, he was also under great pressure from Lu Ming, who was only in the 8th stage of the martial royal realm. That would also force him to improve. The great battle continued, not stopping. Although the pale young man was obviously stronger, Lu Ming had many tricks up his sleeve. The divine sword's secret art was enough to threaten his opponent. Moreover, the divine dragon combat body was a heavenly spiritual body. It was full of vitality and endurance. It seemed that he would never get tired. It would be difficult for his opponent to kill Lu Ming. The battle lasted for many blows. After half an hour, the light curtain at the edge of the fighting ring disappeared. Boom. The 2 of them exchanged one last blow and retreated to opposite sides of the fighting ring. Puff. Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood. After such a long battle, he was injured by the power of law. However, his opponent was also panting heavily. He had consumed a lot of energy. Let's fight again next time. The pale-faced young man left these words behind and strode out of the place. I'll be waiting for your battle, Lu Ming said. He then jumped down from the fighting ring and left. Soon, he returned to the inn and entered the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the Enlightenment ancient tree. The heavenly law stone floated in the air, and he began to comprehend quietly. He had been completely suppressed by his opponent in this battle. He had been in a life-or-death situation. His potential had been fully stimulated, and he had gained a lot. Unfortunately, he had not entered the ethereal state of life and death. It seemed that it was not easy to enter the ethereal state of life and death. It was a coincidence that he had entered it last time. 2 days later, Lu Ming ended his cultivation and opened his eyes. Sure enough, I can only improve quickly in a battle. Lu Ming revealed a faint smile. In 2 days, his injuries had completely healed. Moreover, his chaotic domain had improved and was nearing the middle stage of rank 8. If he had cultivated step by step, it would have taken months of hard work to achieve such results. Continue. Lu Ming exited the mountain and river diagram and came to the Azura platform again. As soon as Lu Ming came to the Azura platform, many people looked at Lu Ming with fear. Lu Ming had become a celebrity in the Azura platform. You're finally here. Let's continue the battle. The pale young man was also here, looking at Lu Ming intently. That's exactly what I want, Lu Ming replied. When the battle on the fighting ring ended, Lu Ming and the pale young man jumped onto the fighting ring. They did not say anything and immediately started the battle. This time, the battle lasted for half an hour before the two of them retreated, panting. This time, Lu Ming did not vomit blood. His injuries were lighter than before. I'm serene, the pale young man said. Lu Ming replied. Let's fight another day. Another day. Chapter 16:13. Over the next 10 days, Lu Ming and Su Ran would have a battle every 2 days. Each battle would last for half an hour. It was a battle of life and death. Lu Ming's improvement was extremely fast. Lu Ming's chaotic domain would improve tremendously after every battle. As the chaotic domain improved, so did his cultivation. 10 days later, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the late 8th layer Martial Dominator realm. He was not far from the peak of the 8th layer Martial Dominator realm. It was a shocking speed. Not only did Lu Ming improve, but so did Su Ran. He was more familiar with using the power of laws. Initially, Su Ran had just reached the 2nd stage of the half-martial sacred realm. Now, he was slowly approaching the late stage. However, it was obvious that Lu Ming's improvement was faster. 10 days later, although Lu Ming was still at a disadvantage when fighting Su Ran, the difference was not as obvious. The two of them had fought for a long time. They were starting to appreciate each other's talents. Lu Ming, you're too crazy. If this continues, I won't be your match soon. Below the Azura platform, the two of them chatted as they watched the battles on the platform. It seems like I'll have to change my opponent, Lu Ming said. Su Ran glared at him and said, Do you really think you can beat me? No, I just feel that if I can't kill you, it would be meaningless to have a battle of life and death, Lu Ming said. Su Ran was startled, but he soon nodded. The two of them had fought for a long time and felt that their tempers were similar. After the battle 2 days ago, the two of them had a good drink. They really could not kill each other on the Azura platform. Boom. Suddenly, a loud explosion was heard. It did not come from the Azura platform, but from outside. Someone was fighting outside the Azura platform. Many people were startled. In this city, only the Azura stage could allow battles to take place. Fighting in other places was forbidden. Who had the guts to fight in the city? Weren't they afraid of being killed by a Saint Realm cultivator with a single slap? Let's go and take a look. Who is it that dares to fight in the city? Immediately, the prodigies below the battle stage all rushed outside. Lu Ming and Su Ran exchanged glances and also rushed outside. Boom, boom. As soon as they arrived outside, they heard a violent explosion. Everyone raised their heads to look at the sky. In the sky, two figures were engaged in an intense battle. 2 streaks of light flashed, and a terrifying force swept out in all directions. High up in the sky, two types of astronomical phenomena appeared. One was a sea of weapons moving freely in the void, while the other was a phoenix bathed in tribulation fire. The phenomenon of heaven and earth meant that the two people fighting were both heavenly spiritual bodies. Boom! With another rumble, the two figures separated and retreated several hundred meters, standing in the air. One of them was a young man in a purple-gold robe. He exuded a noble aura, and 12 saint weapons surrounded him. The aura of the battle weapons soared into the sky. It's him. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. This young man was none other than the noble young man from the Wan clan. The other one was a peerless beauty. Her figure was graceful, and her skin was as smooth as jade. She was devastatingly beautiful. A pair of phoenix wings extended from her back, which added to her strange aura. The immortal heavenly phoenix. This person's spiritual body should be the immortal heavenly phoenix body, formed from the bloodline of the immortal heavenly phoenix. Seeing that woman, Lu Ming's eyes shone brightly. The immortal heavenly phoenix was one of the top 10 battle beasts. It was unique in the Phoenix clan, just like the 9 dragons of the Dragon clan. The combat power of the immortal heavenly phoenix was stronger than ordinary phoenixes. After coming to Yuanlu, this was the first time Lu Ming had met a prodigy who had awakened the bloodline of one of the top 10 battle beasts. Through the discussions around, Lu Ming learned their names. The noble young man from the Wan clan was called Wan Tianqing, and the woman who had cultivated the immortal heavenly phoenix body was called Huang Ling Clang. The saint weapon buzzed as Wan Tianqing stepped forward. The aura of the battle weapon was like a rainbow as he slashed his sword at Huang Ling. A phoenix cry rang out. Behind Huang Ling, a pair of phoenix wings flapped, forming a sky full of flames that bombarded Wan Tianqing. A terrifying collision erupted. The sky was filled with the aura of the battle weapon and flames. The onlookers kept retreating, unable to get close. How terrifying. This combat power is close to the level of the saint realm. They're just low-class heavenly spiritual bodies. I really don't know how terrifying those with middle-class and upper-class heavenly spiritual bodies are. Maybe they can really kill saints before becoming saints. Wan Tianqing and Huang Ling's combat power shocked everyone. No wonder they dared to fight in the city. With such combat power, even if the saints in the city attacked, the two of them would probably be able to escape. The aura of the battle weapon and flames swept across the sky. Wan Tianqing and Huang Ling kept colliding. The battle was white-hot. Almost no one dared to stay in that area. No, there was one person. A black-clothed young man stood not far from the battle with his arms crossed. A layer of light spread out from his body, blocking the aura of the battle weapon and flames that swept in all directions. Who is that? Many people were shocked. It seems to be Sima Yang. It's him. Another heavenly spiritual body. Someone exclaimed, recognizing the black-clothed young man. He was also an extremely powerful genius. Ha ha ha, it's really lively. With a laugh, an unusually burly young man stepped through the air. He was unusually tall, 2 heads taller than ordinary people. His muscles were like iron. He stepped forward. The aura of the battle weapon and flames fell on him, but he didn't seem to feel anything. Mad Beast Zhao Kuang. Another heavenly spiritual body. What's going on? Aren't these freaks in the depths of the 100-race battlefield? Why are they all here? Did something big happen in the periphery? Many people guessed. The depths of the 100-race battlefield were the core of the ancient war. There were more opportunities there. Some freakish geniuses and most of the half-saints were gathered in the depths of the 100-race battlefield. For them, they could only be honed in the depths of the 100-race battlefield. Those in the periphery were relatively weaker. These freaks rarely came to the periphery of the 100-race battlefield. But today, 4 freaks had appeared at once. Sima Yang, it's rare to see you. Fight with me. Mad Beast Zhao Kuang's eyes were blazing with battle intent as he strode towards Sima Yang. That's what I want. Sima Yang said coldly. A halberd appeared in his hand, and a terrifying aura was emitted. Roar. A terrifying roar was actually emitted from Zhao Kuang's mouth. He was like an ancient savage beast, barbaric and berserk. He was wearing a glove on each of his hands. Then, he threw a punch at Sima Yang. Sima Yang also slashed down with his halberd. Clang! A terrifying tremor burst out. It was as if the entire city was trembling violently. Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang's bodies trembled as they retreated. Again, Zhao Kuang roared as his battle intent intensified. He pounced towards Sima Liang again. Sima Liang wasn't afraid as he slashed his halberd at Zhao Kuang. Chapter 16:14. Sima Liang and Zhao Kuang's attacks were both overbearing, brutal, and direct. The two of them constantly clashed, and the entire city was constantly rumbling. The battle was fierce, and the sky above the two of them simultaneously displayed a phenomenon. The foundation of the spiritual body was the bloodline, and it was transformed from the bloodline. Therefore, in a sense, the phenomenon was also a manifestation of the bloodline. For example, Lu Ming's phenomenon was 9 dragons dancing in the sky. The bloodline of his spiritual body was the 9 dragons' bloodline. In the sky, the 4 great prodigies fought fiercely. After more than 100 moves, there was still no clear victor. Later, Zhao Kuang went crazy and actually pulled Wan Tianqing and Huang Ling in, turning it into a 4-man melee. This was the 100 Races battlefield. There was no need for a reason to fight. It was just to train oneself. The battle between the 4 of them was even more intense. After more than 100 moves, there was still no clear victor. In the end, the 4 of them stood in 4 directions and stopped fighting. Ha ha ha, today was really fun. Let's fight another day. Zhao Kuang laughed, looking a little sinister. Then, he turned and left. Then, Sima Liang also left. In the end, Wan Tianqing and Huang Ling looked at each other, and a cold light flashed in their eyes. Then, they also turned and flew into the city. The peak battle had ended, but the storm was far from over. Many people were guessing what these geniuses were here for. Something big must have happened in the vicinity, or perhaps some treasure was about to appear. Generally, only the appearance of a treasure could attract these prodigies to the periphery of the 100 Races battlefield. As for Lu Ming, he had already returned to his room in the inn. The battle strength of Wan Tianqing and the others was indeed very terrifying. They gave Lu Ming a lot of pressure. Like Su Ran, Wan Tianqing, Huang Ling, and the others were all second-stage half-saints. However, their battle strength far surpassed Su Ran's. Even if Lu Ming used all his strength now, he wouldn't be a match for them. He had to continue breaking through, and break through even faster. Only then could he contend with these prodigies. Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the Enlightenment ancient tree. With the assistance of the Heavenly Law Stone, he focused on comprehending the Tao. During this period of time, he didn't plan to go to the Azure Arena to fight. Now that Wan Tianqing was here, Wan Tianqing would definitely know that he had used the 10,000 weapon art. In the following time, Lu Ming's main body focused on comprehending the Tao. As for his second body, he would sometimes disguise himself and go out to gather information. 3 days later, a piece of news spread throughout the city. According to the news, Huang Ling, Zhao Kuang, and the others had come here from the depths of the 100 Races battlefield because the map and key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb might be in the vicinity. When the news came out, the whole city was in an uproar. There had always been a legend in the 100-tribe battlefield. Legend had it that the war of the ancient 100 clans was incomparably tragic. Too many experts had fallen. Countless saints had fallen, and many emperor-level experts had fallen as well. It was said that after the war ended, supreme experts entered this place and built tombs for the 9 fallen great emperors, burying them in the tombs. These 9 tombs were called the 9 emperor tombs by the later generations. It was said that the 9 monarch tombs contained the succession of the martial monarchs. However, for so many years, countless powerful prodigies had entered the 100 Races battlefield, hoping to find the 9 emperor tombs. But almost no one knew where the 9 emperor tombs were. For countless years, only one of the 9 emperor tombs had appeared, and it was obtained by a prodigy. That prodigy was the current 1,000-kill martial emperor. It was said that the 1,000-kill martial emperor had relied on the inheritance of one of the 9 emperor tombs to cultivate to the martial emperor realm, and created the terrifying 1,000-kill manor. An emperor tomb could create a huge force. How tempting was that? Now, it was said that one of the 9 emperor tombs, the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb, was about to appear. The fact that the map and key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb had appeared in the vicinity naturally shocked countless people. The facts proved that it was indeed so. After that, Wan Tianqing, Huang Ling, Zhao Kuang, and the others sent their subordinates to search the vicinity. Legend had it that wherever the map and key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb appeared, the light of reincarnation would flash. Not only the subordinates of the prodigies, but countless prodigies in the city also rushed out to search for the map and key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed. Lu Ming had entered the 100-tribe battlefield for almost 2 months. Lu Ming's cultivation improved every day. Now, his cultivation had reached the peak of the 8th-layer martial royal realm. At this moment, a piece of news spread in the city. Someone had discovered a place where the light of reincarnation was suspected to appear. It was in a place further away from the 100-tribe battlefield. Countless people rushed toward that place. Lu Ming's second body, with the mountain river diagram, followed the crowd and headed toward that place. After crossing a long distance, they arrived at a large mountain. Then, they found a crack and jumped down. It's actually here? Lu Ming was surprised. This was actually the place where Lu Ming had hunted for demon crystals. The map and key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb were actually here? Surprised, Lu Ming followed the crowd and leaped into the crack. The demonic creatures here actually have demon crystals. It's really demon crystals. Such a treasure land. I didn't discover it before. Not long after they entered, many people discovered the situation here. The demonic creatures here actually had demon crystals. Suddenly, many people emitted blazing light in this place, looking for demonic creatures to kill and seize the demon crystals. There's really a light there. Lu Ming looked in a direction. In that direction, a strange light appeared. That light seemed to have 6 different colors that were constantly changing, like the 6 paths of reincarnation. That was the light of reincarnation. I didn't see it here before. Did it appear recently? Lu Ming was very surprised. Whoosh, whoosh. The sound of something breaking through the air sounded. Lu Ming saw Wan Tianqing, Huang Ling, Zhao Kuang, and Sima Liang flying in that direction at the fastest speed. Then, the other geniuses also flew in that direction. Let's go. Lu Ming stepped into the air and followed the crowd. Not long after, they arrived in front of a valley. What a coincidence. It's actually here. Lu Ming was even more surprised, because this valley was the valley he had lured Wan Tianqing to before. Inside, Lu Ming found 10 dragon bones, and his dragon god battle body evolved into a heavenly spiritual body. The light of reincarnation was actually emitted from the depths of this valley. When he was here, it really didn't exist. Roar, roar, roar. In the valley, demonic creatures roared, their roars shaking the sky. Obviously, many people went in and alarmed the demonic creatures. Not good. There are so many powerful demonic creatures. They are all at the half-step Saint Realm. There are even Saint Realm demonic creatures. Not good. Retreat. Retreat quickly. There was a lot of noise in the valley. Many people rushed out desperately, but there were still screams. Many people were killed by the demons. No, the demonic creatures in this valley are too strong. We can't rush in at all. Chapter 16:15. Most of the demonic creatures in the valley were sage-to-be demonic creatures, and there were even a few sage-to-be demonic creatures. Even a sage-to-be would be killed, let alone a LV8 or LV9 martial royal realm cultivator. While many people were watching unwillingly, Lu Ming had already quietly rushed into the valley. When no one was paying attention, Lu Ming quietly changed his body. His second body entered the mountain and river diagram, and his main body stepped out of the diagram. Roar. A sage-to-be demonic creature charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's mind stirred, and the sage-suppressing steel's aura spread out behind him. The demonic creature showed a trace of fear in its eyes. It roared and took the initiative to retreat. Lu Ming was unimpeded as he dashed into the place that was paved with white bones. The light of reincarnation was emitted from the depths of the valley. It turns out that this is not the end. There is a deeper place. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Last time, He had stopped here and did not go deeper. He did not expect that there would be another world in the depths. Roar! Roar! In the valley, demonic creatures roared like thunder, and Saint Aura spread out. A huge demonic bear was chasing a young man with all its strength. That young man was Zhao Kuang. Facing the sage-to-be demonic creature, Zhao Kuang did not dare to fight it head-on. He dodged with his body movement, and after paying a price, he successfully rushed into the depths of the valley. The demonic bear roared angrily, but did not continue to chase him. Lu Ming looked around and did not see Wan Tianqing, Huang Ling, and Sima Yang. The three of them must have succeeded in rushing in. With their combat strength, even if they could not defeat the sage-to-be demonic creatures, they could still rush in. There were still people here who wanted to rush in. They were all sage-to-be figures. Lu Ming saw Su ran. However, these people's combat strength was much weaker. Under the attack of the sage-to-be demonic creatures, they could only retreat with injuries and flee in a panic. Some first-stage sage-to-be cultivators were directly killed by the sage-to-be demonic creatures with a slap. Buzz. Behind Lu Ming, the prison-suppressing steel appeared. When the demonic creatures saw him, they all retreated. Lu Ming easily passed through the demonic creatures and headed inside. In the depths of this land of bones, there was a valley that led all the way inside. There were no demonic creatures in this valley. Lu Ming rushed here and put away the prison-suppressing steel. Then, he retracted his aura and walked into the valley. The valley was very long, but there was no danger at all. Lu Ming moved forward unimpeded. Not long after, they reached the end of the valley. A huge mountain appeared in front of them, blocking their path. There was a cave in the wall at the bottom of the mountain. The light of reincarnation was coming from this cave. A figure stood in front of the cave. It was Sima Yang. Boom, boom. Deep rumbling sounds came from within the cave. It seemed that an intense battle was taking place inside. Sima Yang glanced at Lu Ming as if he had heard the noise. When he discovered Lu Ming's cultivation, his eyes were filled with astonishment, as if he had not expected an 8th-layer martial dominator realm cultivator to be able to come here. Boom, boom. The rumbling sounds in the cave became even more intense. Then, a bulky figure rushed out from the cave. It was Zhao Kuang. Zhao Kuang was in a sorry state. There was blood at the corner of his mouth and his aura was weak. Damn it, there are so many puppets. How troublesome. Zhao Kuang cursed. He then swept his gaze and saw Lu Ming. He let out a cry of surprise. The rumbling sounds continued in the cave. Then, another figure rushed out from the cave. It was Wan Tianqing. Just like Zhao Kuang, he was injured and in a sorry state. His eyes were filled with coldness. He glanced around and his gaze landed on Lu Ming. Brat, it's you? Wan Tianqing's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Of course it's me. Why? Is it because the gift I gave you was too valuable and made you feel grateful? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Especially the word gift, which was especially emphasized. You're courting death. Die. Wan Tianqing exuded a murderous intent that was as cold as a knife. He took a step forward and his sword aura soared into the sky, slashing toward Lu Ming. He hated Lu Ming to the core. Lu Ming actually killed 2 of his subordinates in front of him. This was still a small matter. Later on, he even lured him to this valley and made use of the demonic bear's power to deal with him. At the crucial moment, he even launched a sneak attack on him and seriously injured him. He was so humiliated that he could not wait to skin Lu Ming and pull out his tendons. At this moment, when he saw Lu Ming, he directly killed him. A pagoda floated above Lu Ming's head. Bubble was hiding inside it. Bubble's cultivation was improving rapidly. It had reached the 9th-layer martial dominator realm after refining the energy of the space-time crystal every day. The space-time domain encapsulated Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure swayed and dodged Wan Tianqing's attack. That's the space-time domain. That pagoda has the ability to control the space-time domain. Zhao Kuang and Sima Yang's eyes flickered. Trying to run away? Die. Wan Tianqing snapped coldly. Dots of light appeared on his body as sacred weapons appeared. The sacred weapons whistled and unleashed a powerful aura. The 10,000 weapon art, I know it too. Lu Ming bellowed. His body glowed, and sacred weapons appeared one after another. Wan Tianqing's eyes widened upon seeing this. He wore a look of disbelief as he yelled, "The 10,000 weapon art? How is this possible? How did you manage to learn it?" Even Zhao Kuang and Sima Yang were dumbfounded. The 10,000 weapon art required one to comprehend the 10,000 weapon domain. It was extremely difficult for ordinary people to comprehend the 10,000 weapon domain. However, the geniuses of the Wan clan were only able to comprehend the 10,000 weapon domain and learn the 10,000 weapon art due to their unique physiques. However, how did Lu Ming learn the 10,000 weapon art? While Wan Tianqing was still in a daze, Lu Ming rushed into the cave with Bubble's help. As soon as he entered the cave, Lu Ming looked around. He saw Huang Ling at first glance. At this moment, Huang Ling looked like she was about to turn into a phoenix. She was bathed in the flames of the immortal heavenly phoenix and was fighting fiercely with a dozen figures. Puppets. Lu Ming swept his gaze across and discovered that although the dozen figures who were fighting fiercely with Huang Ling were in human form, they did not have any vital aura. They were all puppets. These puppets were extremely powerful. They were equivalent to the third stage of the half-saint realm, existences with the power of laws. Then, Lu Ming looked around and found that the cave was very wide. In the deepest part of the cave, there were two stone pillars. There was something floating on each of the stone pillars. One of them was a jade talisman, and the other was a pitch-black key. The map and key of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. This was the first thought that came to Lu Ming's mind. However, humanoid puppets were standing around the stone pillars. At a glance, there were several hundred humanoid puppets standing around the stone pillars. All of them were equivalent to the third stage of the half-saint realm. Kill. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.